in my Thursday evening class wanted things muted. I prefer that it isn't muted, but I know it can get a bit noisy. Hi, Tracy.
Hi.
Hello. So start, yeah, so ready, start, here comes Donna. When you're ready, starting lying down onto your backs. Oh, there's Chili. Good to see the dogs arriving. Hi, Donna. Hello. So yes, hi Donna. So when you're ready, lying down onto your backs. And I was showing people what we're going to do. So Tracy and Donna, there's just one thing we're going to do where we're going to walk our legs over to the side, lengthen them out, and then take the arm up. So this side lengthening movement. So everything else should be familiar. So settle down onto your backs and let's just arrive. And so taking a moment to, I think first of all, feel your body. So Hilary mentioned she'd had a fall, some particular areas of being a bit sore. So I think just lying down, noticing your body. Is there anything that immediately presents itself to you in terms of aches, pains, stiffnesses, tightnesses? And you could then just let your head roll a little bit from side to side. And notice how the back of your neck feels and how the shoulders feel. It's a great highlight of these classes to see everyone's pets. So, good. So yes, let the head roll a little bit from side to side and then settling the head down onto the floor, the center of the back of your head. And then just maybe taking a moment to notice what your energy level is like today. So yeah, sometimes we can be feeling tired, not quite 100%, and we lie down and maybe we feel a bit better. And then sometimes we can be feeling a bit hyper. And sorry, I'm just muting everyone for the moment because as people keep joining. And sometimes we can feel a bit hyper, and actually when we lie down, actually we realize underneath all that sort of perhaps a little bit manic energy, we are really quite tired. So a moment of just sensing what your energy is like today. And then feeling your breath. So let your attention gather into wherever you feel your breath in your body. And it could be resting your hands on the front of the body, or it could just be feeling with your awareness, feeling wherever your breath is most noticeable. And if your legs are long, I'd like you to now bend your knees and bring your feet to stand on the floor. And Sheila, your feet are very well organised. I've got a very good view of them. They look great, fantastic. And so from here, just start to let your knees tilt to the right and to the left. And so use this tilting movement to help you a little bit more connect with your body and how it feels today, particularly around the pelvis and the hip joints. And so, you know, I know for some of you, it's similar to me that if I'm going to feel achy, it's going to be around my pelvis, around my lower back, around my hip joints. Some days it can feel fine, some days it can all feel a bit tight. But just easing the knees from side to side, using this movement to help you feel how your body is right now. And so maybe just once, twice more to each side. Hi, Kate. So I've got everyone on mute at the moment, just so as people are joining. So we're lying down on our backs. So those of you who just arrived, we're lying down on our backs, we're tilting our knees from side to side. Now, I'd like you to pause in the centre, and from here, you're going to walk your feet over to the right. So walk both feet over to the right a bit, not as far as you can possibly go because that might be uncomfortable. And then lengthen out both legs on the floor. And then you're going to take your left arm up by the side of your head, but it needs to be able to rest on the floor, so it might go a little bit out to the side. You could also pick up your head and just move your head a little bit towards the right, but keep the back of your head on the floor. So what we're doing is really lengthening out through the left side of the body. Good. Hilary, see if you can get that elbow to rest down on the ground a bit. Yeah, so it might be, if your left elbow is off the floor, you might need to adjust where that arm is resting to be longer through the side of your body. And have a few breaths there. Good, yeah, Donna, see what you can do with that arm to get your elbow to rest down. And it might be, yeah, it might be taking it more out to the side, possibly. That's it, even lower down. That's it, good. I can't see everyone's shoulders and arms, but it's more comfortable if the arm can rest down. Okay, so I'm quite into these movements of lengthening through the side of the body at the moment. So what I'd like you to do now is bring your arm back to your side. Bend both knees, stand your feet on the floor, walk your feet back to the center, and then walk your feet over towards the left. And just remember, don't go as far as you possibly can. So walk the feet over to the left a bit, and then lengthen your legs out on the floor, over on the left. And then you're going to take your right arm up by the side of your head. And you could also move your head over towards the left a little bit, but keep the center of the back of your head on the floor. So you're now lengthening out through the right side of your body. And have a couple of breaths there. Good. So long through the right side of the body. Now, some of you, I think, are frozen, so I'm just going to assume that you are lengthening out through the right side of the body. Have a couple of breaths there, and then come back to the center. So bring that arm down by the side of your body, bend your knees, walk your feet back into the center, and plant your feet down on the floor. So you want to have your knees bent, your feet standing on the floor, and your feet are now in the center. And what you're going to do is then start to roll up and down through your spine into bridge pose. So sinking down into your feet, letting your pelvis come away from the floor, picking your spine up off the floor. And keep it fairly easy. Yes, you really don't need to push anything at this point. Just rolling up and down 3 times. Good. And seeing how it feels in the spine, particularly the lower back. The lower back is feeling tight. Try to place your vertebrae down one by one as you come back down through bridge pose. So yes, 3 times rolling up and down into bridge pose, keeping it easy, keeping your breath flowing. Rolling back down. When you've done those 3 bridge poses, maybe just fold your knees into your chest so I know that you've finished. Some of you, Hilary, you've frozen completely, but yes, I hope you're still there. I'm just unmuting everyone for a moment. Are people still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, Alice, are you okay?
Yes, I had to go for a medical appointment, so just got back.
Okay, well, it's lovely you're here. So people keep coming in and going out. I think,
right.
Yeah, might have lost Hilary there. So
sorry I'm late.
Okay, so come back onto your back with your knees bent and your feet standing on the floor, because now we're going to alternate between, so if you bring your hands around the back of your head, you lift your fingers, and you're going to lift your head, gather your elbows in, look between your knees, and also tip your tailbone off the floor, the bottom of your pelvis, so the middle of your back presses down onto the ground. Then come back down, release your arms, sink into your feet and come back into bridge pose again. So we're going to do this 3 times, moving between this little, I suppose it feels a little bit like a sit-up, where we bring our hands around the back of the head, interlink our fingers, lift our head, gather our elbows in, press the middle of the back down on the floor. So we're tilting the pelvis a little bit. Coming back down, sinking into the feet, coming back into bridge pose. So in your own time, repeat that once more. So you come down, just come and have a look at you. That's it, you come to bridge pose, then you bring your hands around the back of your head, you lift your head. Good. And as you lift your head, tilt your pelvis a little bit so that the middle of your back presses down onto the floor. And then we do, that's nice. And we gather up in the front of the body when we lift the head. And then when we come into bridge pose, we open out through the front of the body. And yes, one last bridge pose. And then again, after that bridge pose, it might be nice to fold your knees into your chest. You could also give your legs a little shake out up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to revisit that side lengthening movement again. So when you've given your legs a shake out, bring your feet back to the floor and then walk your feet over towards the right. So walk your feet over towards the right a little bit, then lengthen both legs out on the floor. And then take your left arm up by the side of your head. And you can also lift your head, pick up your head, move your head over towards the right a little bit if you like, if that's comfortable. Yes, you might need to use your arm for that. And so you're feeling long now through the left side of your body, and have a few breaths there and see how that feels having moved in bridge pose and lengthened out in a slightly different way. So a few breaths feeling long through the left side of the body. As you breathe in, you might feel even longer, even wider through your ribs in your left side. And then you can bring your arm back to your side. You can bend your knees, bring your feet back to stand on the floor, walk your feet back to the center. And just in the center, let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then walk your feet over to the left. Lengthen your legs out. If you're going to lift your head, it might actually be helpful, I saw some of you do, use your hands to lift your head over towards the left. And then bring your right arm up by the side of your head. So again, we're lying, really lengthening out through the right side of the body. If you stretch into your right heel, that might help you to feel a little bit longer. Stretch into the right heel and then release the leg. And just see how it feels to have a few breaths here. And of course, if it feels really uncomfortable, then come out, or you might have gone a bit too far with your legs. So it's this feeling of length through the side of the body, but yes, hopefully not discomfort. And then from there, yes, you can walk your knees, you can bring your arm down, you can bring your head back, you can walk your feet back to the center. That's it. And maybe fold your knees into your chest. Do a little bit of rocking from side to side. Again, if it's nice to take your legs up towards the ceiling and give them a shake out. I get to see lots of lovely feet. Very nice. And then feet back on the floor, knees bent. You're going to give yourself a hug with your arms. So cross your elbows over your chest. That's it. And we're just going to do a little bit of rocking here from side to side. So with your feet on the floor and with your arms crossed over your chest, you're going to let your knees and your elbows and your head all rock towards one side and then the other. So if you feel that you're rolling onto your fingers as you rock onto the side, you can trail your fingers out away from your body. So you're just giving yourself a bit of a massage, rocking from side to side across the back of your body. With your feet on the floor, with your arms crossed over your chest. Very nice. And so from here, you can carry on rocking from side to side. From here, you're eventually, so it depends how it feels. If you're enjoying it, obviously do a bit more. From here, you're eventually going to rock all the way onto one side. Have a few breaths there. And then we're going to come onto hands and knees. I'm just going to, no, hold on, I'm muting everyone. I'm just playing around with sort of, you know, managing the sound. So I've got everyone muted, particularly as, I think it's sometimes when we come into different positions, it gets noisier. So come onto hands and knees and just let yourself settle. So Hilary, we seem to have lost, and I said she had a problem with wrists and knees, but let me just check if I've had a message from her. No. So coming onto hands and knees, in your own time, you can start to do some cat movements here. So rounding your back, dipping your spine. So when we round our back, it's a bit like when we were coming into that little sort of mini sit-up on our back. So rounding our back, letting the head hang, feeling long through the back of the body. Then we can dip the spine down and feel that we open through the front of the body. So again, just using these movements to see how your body feels right now, today. You can also do a bit of tail wagging. And whenever you're ready, we're going to do a couple of dog poses. So whenever you're ready, you're going to be tucking your toes under, rocking your hips back over your heels, seeing how it feels to come into dog today. So good. So we seem to, Hilary, we seem to have got you again. So that's good. We lost you, So that's good. Good. So yes, cat, hands and knees, some cats, and in your own time, coming into a couple of dog poses. I'm just having a look at you. In between those two dogs, you can come back into cat. But just really some familiar movements to help get us moving today. When you come into dog pose, I think there's usually some very obvious things. For me, there's always some very obvious things in my body. So Hilary, obviously, you know, be careful of the wrists. Yeah, there's usually the back of the legs, for example, will make themselves known in dog pose. Good. Good. If you want to have a little bit of a breather in child pose, do so. Hold into child pose, you can have your breath here. And in a moment, we're going to be coming into lunge. So you can be coming, if you're in dog pose, you could step 1 foot forwards into lunge. If you're on hands and knees, you can step 1 foot forwards into lunge. So it doesn't matter which foot, you do both sides. So step 1 foot forward. See how it feels to be in your lunge. Have a few breaths here. Now, with some of the classes this week, I've been doing just this sort of little easy twist, not easy, but a little bit of turning from side to side. So if you felt that you wanted to do that, you could do it. Keeping one hand on the floor, turning a little bit to the right and to the left. When you come to swap sides in your lunge, you could come onto hands and knees, you could come into dog pose. So whatever you feel you'd like to do. Step into dog, I might have to mute things in a moment, and come into lunge on the other side. And again, if you like in lunge, you could do this little sort of turning from side to side. So I think I'm just going to mute things for a moment. From lunge, we're going to come into another dog pose, and we're going to come back, and we're going to come from that dog pose into forward bend and up into standing. So when you've had a few breaths on the second side of your lunge, you can either come to hands and knees or go straight from your lunge into dog. So big handprints on the floor, tucking your toes under, exhaling, moving into one more dog pose. Have a few breaths in this dog. And then when you're ready, walking your hands in towards your feet. So you end up in a forward bend. Let your head go, let your arms go. And then from your forward bend, sink into your heels. You're going to roll up into standing, walk your hands up the fronts of your legs if you need to. So we're arriving in standing. So I've got everyone muted. If you want to talk, just you can unmute yourselves, and we'll do a little bit muted, and then I'll put the sound back on again, just so it doesn't get too clunky. So in standing, let's do this one, this nice, easy, swinging twist, letting the feet come along, letting the arms swing, letting the hands slap onto the sides of the body. This feeling of the whole of ourselves moving. And then eventually let that one go. And we're going to come to another side lengthening movement. So you're going to be reaching your arms up and then reaching up through one arm and then the other. So as I do this, as I reach up into one arm, I shift all of my weight, or not all of my weight, but a lot of my weight over that leg. So as well as reaching, I'm shifting my body weight from side to side. Really, again, this sense of length through the sides of the body that I'm just really enjoying at the moment. And then from here, you're going to sweep all the way down into a forward bend. Let your head go, let your arms go. Sink into your heels. Very nice. Down in your forward bend when you're ready. Good. And in your forward bend, let a breath come in. You're exhaling, sinking into your heels, rolling up into standing, or walking your hands up the fronts of your legs if you need that support. And once more, come back to this reaching into one arm, reaching into the other. And this time what I'd like you to do is say, reach up through your right arm and then catch your left wrist around your your left hand around your right wrist and draw yourself up and over. And then do the same thing on the other side. So you reach up through the left, you catch the right hand around the left wrist, draw yourself up and over. Come back to the center and then again sweep forwards into a forward bend. Let the head go, let the arms go. If you want to from here, if your lower back would appreciate it, you can go on into a squat. So you can start to bend your knees forwards over your feet. It's fine if your heels come up, but if you have a wedge or a book, something to hand that you can slide under your heels or even roll up the backs of the mats. And then from here, we'll come back up into standing once more. Undo my mat. So if you have got something under your heels, remove it. Let your heels come away from the floor. And then as you exhale, start to send your heels down and your sit bones up. And then rolling all the way up into standing. Good. So arriving back in standing, maybe looking at both feet on the floor for a moment this time. And we're going to come into another side lengthening movement, but this time it will take us into a balance. So you're going to reach up through your right arm. Let the left arm be heavy and floppy. And start to shift your weight more and more into your right leg and foot. So the left heel can come up. Keep the left arm heavy and floppy, and then you're going to let the left foot come up completely and catch the top of your foot or your trouser leg. Okay. And then from here, let the right hand come down onto your breastbone. Just see if you can settle here. But gathering your attention to your center. Maybe feeling the movement of your breath under your hand. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. Very nice. Come back down. Have a little shake out. Have another look down at your feet, settle your feet down. And then start to reach up through your left arm, reaching up through the left arm, shifting your weight into your left leg, into your left footprint. You can let the right heel come up. So just very lightly on the ball of your right foot, and then the right foot comes up completely. Catch the top of the foot, or you catch your trouser leg. And you see how it feels to have a few breaths here. And then the hand comes down to the breastbone. So this feeling of gathering into our center and settling, maybe feeling the flow of the breath. It's fine if we fall out, we can just catch our foot once more and see if we can settle. Try and let the knee drop as much as possible. And then from here, come back down, have a little shake out. We're going to go back into our forward bend again, and we're going to do the weeping willow variation where we trail, some of you are still doing it anyway, where you trail your fingers around the fronts of your body. So just trying to be really nice and fluid in this. So yeah, your arms are like the branches of the weeping willow trailing into a river. Much image like that. Good. And then in your own time, sinking down into your heels. In the center, maybe flopping forwards in the center. Let a breath come in, and as you exhale, roll back up into standing. And when you arrive in standing, once more come into this one loose, swinging twist. That's it. Very nice. In a moment, I don't know who's making music, so it could be my laptop. In a moment, I'm going to come nearer to the screen to show you a little mudra sequence we're going to do with the hands. You can stay in standing, so I'm going to come in to like kneeling, but you don't need to do that. So I just want you to be able to see this. So settle in standing, and you're going to start with your hands in this. If you need to come nearer to your laptop, you could do, that's fine. You're going to bring your hands into the lotus bud mudra to start with. So we've got this space between the hands, that's it. And then you're going to press your hands together into prayer pose. And then see if you can stretch your three middle fingers away from each other. But look, I'm keeping the base underside of my knuckles touching. And then from there, you open your hands into the lotus flower and really stretch into the fingers. So we're using these mudras to help stretch into our hands. So we're stretching into the hands like this. That's it, good. And then from here, close, it's nighttime, the petals of the flower close up. And then we go down to make the lotus roots, which are, that's where we can swing the hands a little bit. So the lotus roots in the mud. Good. Just give your hands a shake out, and we'll do that one more time. So we're using these mudras in quite a sort of, physical way. And we're going to come back to them later for more of a meditative approach. So lotus bud, you've got this space between the hands are quite soft. Then we really press the palms together. And then we see, can we stretch the middle fingers apart without opening the hands up? Is that possible? Yeah, I don't know whether that is possible for everyone. And then you let the palms open, but the base of the palms stay touching. It looks like some sort of sea creature, and you really stretch into your hands. The lotus flower opens. And then the petals close at night time. We bring the backs of the hands together, and it's the roots of the lotus. We can wiggle the fingers. Good. Because we are going to come down now, and Hilary, you'll have to see how you get on with swimming. So we're going to come down to hands and knees and do some things where we are taking some weight through our hands. And some twists. And yeah, so we're doing a little sequence from the back of your mat. So come to the back of your mat, bring your hands into prayer pose like we would for sun salute. So let a breath come in. As you exhale, you're going to take your arms down and then up. Let a breath come in, feel lovely and long and tall, and then exhaling down into a forward bend. And then from this forward bend, you're going to walk your hands forwards into dog pose. Have a few breaths in dog pose. See how that feels. And then from dog pose, coming down onto hands and knees. And on hands and knees once more, settle yourself on hands and knees. So your shoulders are over your hands, your knees are under your hips. And then come back to your cat movements once more. And what I'd like you to use these cat movements to do now is to try and find the neutral place. So by rounding and dipping, can you find a place where you're doing neither, where you're somewhere in the middle? Place. The spine is fairly long and flat. And then from here, as you exhale, you're going to take opposite arm and leg forwards and back. So keep looking down at the floor next to the hand that's remaining, and just breathing yourself long from your fingertips through to your heel. You could be stretching your heel away, you could be pointing your toes, you could be doing a bit of both. See how it feels to be here. You could always, Hilary or Sarah, do this on your elbow and forearm if that's better for the wrist. Come down, try the other side. So if you're going to go onto your forearm, you need to do that now before you've got the other arm off the floor. And so come down, see how it feels on the other side. So the other opposite pair of arm and leg. Lengthening into the fingertips, and you could be pointing the heel, pointing the toe, or a bit of both. Breathing here. Good. Then when we come back down, we're going to do this sequence 3 times, and we're going to do this twist. And we're going to do a little bit different variation each time. So this time, all we're going to do is this hand stays standing on the floor, the elbow bends, we slide the bottom arm underneath. And we have a few breaths here and see how this feels. And see how it feels to feel the side of your head. And how does it feel for that bottom shoulder? So have a few breaths on this side. And then do the same going in the other direction. So come back to the center. Reaching underneath with the other arm. So the top elbow stays bent, the hand stays planted on the floor, if that's okay for your wrist. Have a few breaths that side. And then we're going to come back to the center. We're going to come into plank pose, and from plank into dog. But if plank is too much for anyone's wrists, you could be doing elbow dog instead, or just dog. You are going to do plank. Organise yourself so your shoulders are over your wrists. Lengthen one leg back behind you and then the other. And come into your long, straight line plank pose. And when you've had a couple of breaths in plank pose, you're going to send your pelvis up and back into dog. Now it's going to be a very long dog pose, so you might want to walk your feet in. You might want to bend your knees quite a bit. You certainly want to breathe and soften. You can stay in dog for a few more breaths, but whenever you want to, you're going to then bring your knees down and fold back into child pose and just have a couple of quiet breaths in child pose. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. Okay. Very nice. So from child pose, You can have another breath or two there. From child pose, we're going to, maybe it's good to come back onto hands and knees and just lengthen each leg out behind you in turn, because the knees have been bent. And then tuck your toes under, walk your hands in towards your knees and let your knees come off the floor. So we're coming onto the balls of our feet. Good. And we do a little bit of rocking here on the balls of our feet. And then what I'd like you to do, be thrilled to hear, is see how does it feel to come into this lovely foot stretch where we let our knees come down. My heels are wanting to wander out, so I'm trying not to let them do that. To come to here for a moment. Oh, have a couple of breaths. You might not want to be here too long. Oh, from there, come forwards. Drop the feet on the floor. This is by far the nicer bit of the dry the feet on the floor and lengthen each leg back behind you and turn again. And then we'll repeat that movement, but without the foot stretch. So we'll just tuck the toes under, walk the hands into the knees, come up onto the balls of the feet. And this time we're going to be going into a forward bend. So this time you're going to send your heels down and your sit bones up, so all of your weight comes into your feet. And we're going to roll up into standing, touching the backs of the hands together. So as you exhale, touch the backs of the hands together, trail your hands up the front of your body, straight up to the ceiling. Breathe in, big exhalation. Good. So we'll go through that sequence again, but add in some slightly different things in the centre, a slightly different twist. So from here, let a breath come in as you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Let a breath come in, exhaling down into your forward bend. Have a couple of breaths here, let the head go, let the arms go. Then when you're ready, walking your hands forwards into dog pose. Having a bit of a lengthen out in dog pose. And from dog pose, coming down onto hands and knees once more.
Oh. Hey, kitty.
Is that your cat, Donna? There's somebody's cat.
Yes, he's joining me on the yoga mat.
Oh, very nice. My highlights is all the pets. So from hands and knees, very appropriately, we will do some cat movements. Oh, how lovely. So on hands and knees, some cat movements to go with Kate's lovely cat. Rounding your back, dipping your spine. And again, so we're doing all the animals here. And again, you're using these movements to find your neutral base, the middle ground, where your spine is long and fairly straight. And as you exhale, we're coming into this is fox pose, where we're lengthening. So I think the back leg is the tail of the fox, maybe the front arm is the nose of the fox. We're growing long from fingertips to our back heel. We're breathing ourselves long, trying to feel supported through the remaining arm or the forearm, if that's how you're managing this for yourself. Come down, swap sides as you exhale, the other pair of arm and leg, forwards and back. Breathing yourself long from your fingertips to your back heel. Now this time, if you watch for a moment, we're going to do a slightly different version of the twist. So the arm is going to slide under, and if your head is okay on its side, this arm can come up and either onto the back of your pelvis or just sort of down onto your bottom ribs. Yeah. So in your own time, slide one arm under. We start off in the same way. This hand remains on the floor. And then if we feel comfortable on our bottom shoulder and the side of our head, this arm can come up and wrap back behind us. And just, various places you could take that hand to. Okay, Otto just seems to be. Otto, knocking the laptop over. And then come back out, come back to the center and try the other side. So slide the arm, one arm underneath and the other arm comes over the top as long as your head and neck. Having a few breaths there. Very nice. Yes, that top arm can be long if you like, or you wrap it around the back of the body. Also sit. Sit, and then untwisting, coming back onto hands and knees. And once more, we're going to come through plank pose into dog, but obviously adapt. You need to be on your forearms instead. I'm not necessarily suggesting you do an elbow plank unless you're feeling like you want a bit of a workout. Shoulders over your wrists, lengthen one leg back, lengthen the other. A couple of breaths. So in this long, straight plank, long from the shoulders to the heels. And then as you exhale, send your pelvis up and back. You can walk your feet in if you like. Have a few breaths in your dog pose. I'm going to have a little look at you, and from dog pose you will fold down into child pose again. So have a few breaths in child pose, letting the elbows rest, letting the forehead rest on the ground. Very nice. And from child pose, again, if you want to lengthen your legs out for a moment, come back onto hands and knees. And we've got a couple of options now. We're going to be tucking our toes under and walking our hands in towards our knees. And this one, there's a couple of options. So some of you with wrist issues might want to get your block out and buckle your book under your heels so that you can sit in your squat. Others of you, if anyone's feeling a little bit adventurous, the other Katers are here today. I was going to tell you, I should enjoy this. I was going to get you to think about bringing your hands onto the floor and your little hand balance, bakasana. So if you're going to do that from this position, and we will try it from a different position in a moment, you'll be folding between your knees, planting your hands on the floor and seeing how does it feel to shift your weight from your toes onto your hands. And if you are doing this, I can also show you from the front. So I start off with my elbows quite bent, but as I bring my weight forwards into my hands, my elbows gather in to support my legs.
Oh, I can't do that.
This is just a little bit of, I say, fun. Not sure it's necessary. You can just give that a little quick go. You're right there, Sharon.
Yeah.
Thinking about it. If you've done that if you want to do a little bit more, do so. If you've had a little try, it might be quite nice for a moment just to lie onto your belly, open out the front of your body. But if anyone wants me to have a look at them doing it, yeah, interesting. Yes, Sharon, your bottom has come a long way up, but that looks very nice. You're balancing well.
I find that so difficult.
Well, we're going to try it from a different approach in a moment. So, yeah, very nice, Donna. You look like it is not easy at all. So lying on the belly after that is rather nice. We will be coming back into standing, but yes, if you want to have a couple of breaths on your belly, give your pelvis a little bit of a wiggle. And then we're going to make our way back up into standing by from the belly, folding into child pose. Then lifting the bottom up, tucking the toes under. So we come back into this place where we're on the balls of the feet. We're not going to try and balance on our hands this time, don't worry. And then from here, sending the heels down into your forward bend. And then we're going to be rolling up into standing, touching the backs of the hands together, all the way up. And it is quite nice when you come into standing after doing that little rounded movement, let yourself do a little bit of a back arch. Now, have a little shake out, because just before we come back into the last cycle of that sequence, I wanted you to, well, I was just going to show you another way into that hand balance. And if you're not doing the hand balance, again, have your block to hand and do a squat. So this way you go into it from a forward bend. So I'm coming down, standing my hands on the floor, letting my heels come off. So this way your bottom is a bit more up in the air, Sharon, and letting my knees go out to the side. And then I'm just leaning forwards onto my hands. So I'm ending up in a slightly different shape, but you're not having to lift your bottom up, which sometimes makes it a little bit easier. So some of you, if you're not going to do a hand balance, you're going to be bending your knees and you're going to be dropping all the way down into a squat. And you could be putting your block under your heels. The rest of you, if you wanted to try the hand balance from here, I'll show you one more time. So it's forward bend, bending your knees enough that you can get your hands on the floor. Once you've got your heels off the floor, you swivel on your feet so your knees come out to the side. So if I show you from here, so I'm swiveling my knees out to the side. And then all I'm doing here is really leaning my weight forwards onto my hands. And then do roll up. Oh.
That's my arms.
Yes, I know. We haven't done these for ages, have we? Someone in another class requested them, someone on Thursday evening. So I just thought, yes, maybe a little bit of a challenge to do. Yeah, online. That's nice. Good. Wherever you are, let's roll back up into standing. Come to the back of the mat if you're not already at the back of the mat. And maybe just before we go forwards, it would be nice once more to do one of these standing back arches, making sure the pelvis is coming forwards. We can be bending the knee, just so we open out through the front of the body. And then rolling all the way down into your forward bend, walking your hands forwards into dog pose. Having breaths in dog. See how dog pose feels now. And then coming down onto hands and knees. And one last time, we're going to be going through the movements in this sequence. So on hands and knees, coming back to some cat movements, rounding your back, dipping your spine. So when we come into a squat or we come into those little hand balances, we're really rounding our back, like a sort of much more exaggerated version of the rounded up cat. And again, like we've been doing, find your neutral place where your spine is neither rounding or dipping. And then as you exhale, moving on into fox pose. So this feeling of being long from the fingertips through to the back heel, long and stable, and breathing, feeling supported through the remaining arm, if that's possible. Forearm. Rising the effortful, this one, coming back down, swapping sides, so opposite arm and leg, the other opposite pair. Breathing, feeling supported through the remaining arm. And coming back down. You might just want to sit back for a moment to give your hands a little shake out, because I want to show you where we're going to do what we're going to do with the twist this time. So some of you know this one, and I think this is probably the best sequence of movement. So you're going to slide the arm under, and then this time we take the leg out to the side. So this is the leg we're looking towards. And if you look at my leg, I'm really tucking my toes under, and my heel is pointing away from me. My toes are pointing towards me. And then that gives us this counterbalance so that we can take this arm back. At the same time, we're really sort of stretching into the heel. Oh, and that's a really nice twist in the upper back. So if you fancy giving that a try, come back onto hands and knees. As I was saying, the first bit, I've been thinking about how to break this down. The first bit is sliding the arm under. And then while you've still got the other hand on the floor, then your leg comes out to the side, and you're really tucking your toes under, sending your heel away from you. So this foot is coming quite well out to the side. And then the top arm can come up. And at this point, I'm going to come and have a look at those of you I can see. Just make sure those toes are pointing towards you. Yes, what a lovely, that's it. Really send the heel away from you. Very nice. Yes, what interesting view. And then you can, when you untwist, I think you bring the arm down first, then the knee comes down, then you press into your other hand on the floor, come back to the center, good. And then try the other side. So your arm slides underneath first of all, then your leg comes out to the side, and then you see how it feels to let the top arm come over. And so remember, you're really tucking those toes under, the toes are pointing towards you, the heel is pointing away from you. Good. Providing a counterbalance for that top arm. Lovely. Very nice. Sheila, try and send the heel, bring the toes to face you more. I think, no, they are, sorry. I thought a bit of something else I was seeing was your toes. So, no, it looks very nice. And then untwisting. So that's one of those poses I always find really confuses my brain. So we need to then really lengthen out in something quite simple. So one last time, it's going to be plank pose and then dog pose, or just dog pose, or elbow dog with your wrists in the rest. So coming into your plank pose, a few breaths here, just feeling your body in this very simple, long and straight position. And then exhaling. I say simple, it's not hard work, but it's, yeah, simple in terms of shape. Sending the pelvis up and back into dog pose. So our brain really knows where our body is in these familiar symmetrical poses. And then we'll be folding down into child pose. Settling down for a few breaths on. Very nice. So let another breath come in, let another breath leave you. Coming back onto hands and knees, lengthen each leg out behind you. Now there is one more opportunity. We're going to be walking, tucking the toes under, walking the hands in towards the knees. If you're desperate to revisit your bakasana, your hands on the floor, coming little hand, you can do one last time, but otherwise from here, so it really depends if you want to do that, you can. Otherwise, have a few breaths coming towards your squat, and then let your heels come up so you can send your sit bones up and your heels down into your forward bend. Bringing the backs of your hands together, rolling up into standing all the way up. And again, it might be quite nice to finish this little sequence with the standing back arch. I've got my hand on my belly to just remind you that the pelvis needs to move forwards. You could be bending your knees. Oh, and then just, yeah, little shake out. Let all of that go. We're just back in standing quite briefly now to revisit one more standing balance. So let's have a look. Let's first of all just do this one. Let's feel sort of loose and easy and free. Good. Good. And then from there, let that go. Have a look at your feet. Settle your feet down, hip width apart and parallel. And then close your eyes in standing, and you can do a little bit of swaying. I might just mute everyone now because we're going to come into a balance, and it's probably good to be able to focus for it to be quiet. Good. So swaying side to side, feeling your weight come over your right foot and then your left foot. And then settling in the centre. And we're going to come back into this balance we did before. Maybe if I just show you first of all, we're going to come back into this one we reached up. From this position, just watch for a moment. From here, we're then going to, if you want to do any of these big expansive movements, we're going to do those. So you have a sort of choice. So from this position, you can take your arm forwards and back, wherever you like, as long as it feels comfortable. So we start off small. We start off by reaching up through the right arm, letting the left arm be heavy, shifting our weight into our right leg and foot. And then from here, the left heel comes up, the left foot becomes lighter till we can sneak it up all together. And then our hand comes onto our breastbone. So it's fine, if you're happy to stay here, you can stay here. But if you want to, from this position, see what's it like to take your arm forwards and your leg back. You can let your pelvis go level. You're more likely to wobble as we move here, and that's fine. As long as you don't fall over and hurt yourself. You could come in and out a couple of times. Where does it feel? Yeah, where does it feel sort of fun to go to? So I'll go side arm, and one more time, reaching forwards and back. And then come out, have a little shake out before we do the other side. So again, look down at your feet, settle into your footprints for a moment. Maybe just before we do the other side, shake your arms out and then close your eyes and feel yourself in standing. Let a breath come in as you exhale. You can reach your left arm up. You can open your eyes now. Give away the right arm. Start shifting your weight into your left leg and foot. Right heel comes up, right foot comes up. We catch the top of the foot or the trouser leg. And then we bring the hand to the breastbone. So again, you could stay here, or you could be seeing how is it to reach forwards and back with your hand and your foot. Come back to the centre, yes, just it's fine if you have a little wobble. Where could we go to? And so this is just really about feeling that we can be expansive in our movements if we so wish. Could be folding forwards a bit. Good. And then shake everything out. And one last time, we're going to come down through forward bend, dog pose into child pose. So from the backs of the mats. So settle yourself in Tadasana at the back of your mat. It'd be quite nice to do it with the sun salute arms again. So hands in prayer pose. As you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Let the breath come in, exhaling down into your forward bend. Arrive in your forward bend, feel yourself here, have a few breaths, and then on into dog pose. Big hands walking forwards, and then settling down into the child pose. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. Lovely. Let the forehead rest, let the elbows rest. And from child pose, you're going to be sliding forwards onto your bellies, once more. So slither forwards onto your belly. I've got most of you unmuted now, but if it's noisy your end, maybe mute yourself or ask me. Because you might have some questions here. So you're going to slither forwards onto your belly. If possible, if it's comfortable for you, rest your forehead on the back of your hand. So you've got one hand on top of the other and the forehead resting on the back. And you can give your pelvis a little bit of a wiggle. And just see how it feels once more to be lying on your belly. And if at any point you need to come out before I say so, you can always fold into child or turn onto your back. Now, what I'd like you to do on your belly is on one side, bend your knee and see if you can catch that foot in your hand. So it's going to be the same hand and foot. So keeping your head, that's it. So it's keeping your head down. Can you reach back with your hand, catch your foot? And then release that foot and just do it a few times on the same side. Release the foot and then catch the foot on the same side, maybe 3 or 4 times, and just see how that feels. Is it possible to catch your foot? It may not be, just, yeah, what's it like? Yeah, can you catch your foot? It's always quite interesting when we do these things and we can't really see what's going on. Good. So do that 3 or 4 times on one side and then swap sides and do it 3 or 4 times on the other side. So you're keeping, as much as possible, you're keeping your head resting down on the other arm and you're reaching your hand back and lifting up your leg, bending your knee, lifting up your foot so you can catch it. Yes, I maybe didn't say that crucial part about bending your knee, but you all seem to have worked that out. Okay, and just sort of seeing how it feels on that second side. So I didn't tell you to go for lefts and rights. So I'm assuming maybe the first side was a bit easier. I don't know. If it was, I would like you to now go back to catching your foot on the easier side. Your forehead is resting on the back of the other hand. And what you're going to start to do as you exhale is start to move your foot back away from your bottom. So it starts to pull your shoulder back and you're also lifting your head away from the hand on the floor. So if you're not sure, you can look at me. So we're using that action of the bent knee foot pulling away from the bottom to help lift your shoulder and lift your head up. And do this a few times. You can also be sinking down into the arm and hand that remains on the floor. Good. So it's going to be quite a strong movement through the front of your thigh and also into the shoulder. And then you can swap sides and you can do the same thing on the other side. So catching the other foot and then pulling your foot back away from your bottom and see if that helps lift your shoulder and lifting your head away from the hand. And you're still planting into the hand and the elbow that are on the floor.
Are you lifting your thigh, Karen?
Oh, well, it's a good question. Some people may not. It sort of depends what your thighs are like. So it may be that your knee lifts, possibly. Is that what you mean, Kate? That might be that your knee lifts off the floor?
Well, part of my thigh, you know.
Part
also.
of the thigh, yeah. So, but the sort of bottom part of your thigh, maybe, rather than the top part of your thigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's fine. You don't necessarily need to do that, but if it happens, that's fine. Now, just let both legs go. Let's maybe fold back into child pose for a moment, and then we'll just do one more little visit onto our front. So fold back into child pose, have a little lengthen out. Yeah, Kate, I think it really varies how we're made, whether our thighs lift or not. So, okay. So if that's happening, that's absolutely fine. But sometimes people get, then if they hear someone else's thighs lifting, they want theirs to lift as well. I'm thinking maybe that's a positive thing about the sort of online yoga, is it maybe removes some of that element of feeling competitive. As much as we maybe want to not feel competitive, we can still, in class when we're looking at other people and seeing what other people can do. So when you come back onto your belly, there's 2 things we're going to do. Now you can, one of them, which one of them is we're just going to be lifting, with the hands on the floor, we're going to be lifting the head, which is rather fun. If you want to, I really loathe this one, you can catch both feet and then pull them back. And I just don't go anywhere. I feel like a sort of stuck beetle. So yeah, it's up to you if you want to do that one. I personally would just do this one. Having done the other one for you, don't like it. The back on your belly. You've got your one hand on top of the other. You're doing this little movement where you're sinking down into your forearms and your hands, and you're lifting your head. You can do that a few times. And then if you really want to do that one that I hate, where I catch the tops of the feet, of both feet, you can do. Otherwise, you're going to roll onto your back. So that's it. And so it's the same thing, that you pull your feet back away from your bottom to lift your shoulders and your head. But yeah. So it's one of those ones I feel like I don't really go anywhere, and I feel a bit very
It gives you a real pull through your abdomen, though, doesn't it?
You do, yeah, and you have to be a little bit careful with that. So I mean, that's the other thing with it. So I mean, yes, it's yeah, it can be quite nice. Oh. It's good for the shoulders, I think. That's why I quite like it, because it does really stretch the shoulders, but you don't want to sort of overstretch the belly. Yes, and then do roll onto your backs. You deserve it after all of that. I was thinking, when I was doing this, I came onto my back, and like a lot of you were doing, is folding the knees into the chest. And I was going to say, you could just lie quietly with the knees folded in. And we've got a couple of options. You could do a bit of rocking from side to side, if you like. Or you can just lie quietly, and I put my hands in that fold at the back of my knee, and just really focus on that deep fold of the knees into the chest, and have a few quiet breaths. And from here, I wanted us to come into Happy Baby. But first of all, I know it's a bit of a favourite of some of you Friday morning people. But first of all, come into what was they say, sort of static Happy Baby. So you're taking your knees wider apart, knees quite wide, bending your knees, orientating the soles of your feet towards the ceiling. And without rocking to start with, just see where you can hold on your legs. And it could be round the back of the knees. It could be your calves or your shins or your feet. Some of you might hold your feet. And some of you I know really like to rock here from side to side. So you can rock from side to side, leaving your legs quite passive, or you can use your legs to rock you by reaching up into one heel and then the other. And you can reach up into the center to rock, or you could reach your leg out to the side, but you are more likely to roll all the way over onto your side. But that's fine, as if you've got plenty of space. So that's it, just a little bit of experimenting with your Happy Baby, yeah. I know you like to do. If you don't like to do it, you obviously don't have to do it. You can take your legs up and shake them out and not hold on to them. But just really whatever feels nice for the back right now. And then I have our last little movement in a moment is going to be a very sort of experimental little rolling around thing that I thought some of you might like. So when you've had enough Happy Baby, bring your feet to stand on the floor with your knees bent. And let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then just come to a little bit of letting your knees tilt to the right and to the left. Your feet are standing on the floor with your knees bent, you're tilting your feet. So you're tilting your knees to the right and to the left. Very nice. And coming back to this sort of movement we did right at the beginning, seeing how it feels now. And then you're going to take your feet wider apart. So they're as wide as your mat. This is the narrow edge of your mat, not the long edge. If you're lying in strange, that's it. So take your feet as wide as your mat, and then start to tilt your knees from side to side again. Good. And I want you to feel, so as you're doing this, so Sheila, that's it. Make sure the knee that's going out to the side, if that's comfortable, is also going down towards the floor. That's it. So if you're thinking a bit more today than we do sometimes about letting the knees go all the way down towards the floor, and how this is a bit like doing pinwheel on our back. And then what I'm going to try and talk you into is coming from here into sitting pinwheel, which will be a little bit of fun. So I was playing around with this yesterday and I got rather excited. So let's see how we get on. So what I would like you to do is rock your knees over to the right and leave them there. And then what you're going to do is start to rock across your upper back. So you roll onto your right shoulder. So the left shoulder comes away from the floor and you're rolling onto the side of the right shoulder and the right side of the head. Let's see how that feels, and I might just come and have a look at you. So the knees are on the right and we roll onto the side of the right shoulder. That's it on there. Good, good. And that's nice. And the right side of the head. Now, from that position, you could then bring your left hand to stand on the floor and push down through that hand and bring yourself up to sit. How does that work? And when you come in to sit, you're in pinwheel, maybe. Now, what's it like if you then fold over your right knee? So like we do in pinwheel. And then what you're going to be doing is thinking about, so what I've worked out here is quite important, is that your left hand is on the floor, your right arm is sliding underneath, a bit like in those twists we did, as you lower your shoulder and your head down onto the ground, and you come back down again. Can we try going up again? Can we try rolling onto the right shoulder? The right arm needs to be below the left hand, so the left hand presses down onto the floor. Our right elbow might press into the floor and we bring ourselves up to sit. Let's try once more going back down to lie and see if we can do the other side. So coming back down, you fold your body like we do in the pinwheel forward bend, down over your right thigh. And then you're leaning further down onto the floor. So your left hand is standing on the floor, your right arm is sliding underneath your left arm. Let the side of your head come down onto the floor and then roll all the way onto your back. And just, settle on your back for a moment. And then again, make sure your knees are bent, your feet are as wide as your mat. Come back to a little bit of rocking your knees from side to side. And we'll try this to the left side, which I find it a bit harder going to the left side. So let your knees tilt over to the left. And then find that movement where you're rolling. So your right shoulder comes off the floor and you're rolling over onto the side of your left shoulder, the left side of your head. And roll in and out of that. So roll back, so your right shoulder comes back onto the floor, and then roll back onto your side. And I might just turn round. So I'm looking in your direction. So when you're on your side, then again, it's helpful if your left arm is lower than your right hand. Your right hand is pressing down into the floor, quite near to your left shoulder. Maybe your left elbow sinks into the floor. Can you bring yourself up to sit? And then in sitting, can we reverse that movement? So we fold our body down over our left thigh. We start to lean down through the left elbow and then all the way back onto our backs. So again, can we have the knees on the left? Can we roll onto the left shoulder? Can we stand our right hand on the floor, press down through that hand, come back up again? Do that one more time. So fold your body weight over your left thigh. And then you're leaning down to the left, through the left elbow, the right hand to help stabilize you all the way onto your back. And then this time we'll go up one more time into sitting, and we'll stay in sitting. So again, roll onto your left shoulder, sink your right hand onto the floor, see if you can bring yourself up. Very nice, well done. Was that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well done. I think it's interesting. You all seemed. I did that with my Thursday evening lot. I shouldn't say that then, but they got far more confused. But maybe that's because it was. I think I was. Yes, it was all dark, and they're probably thinking, "What are we trying to do?" Learn something new at that time. So we're going to now come into a little bit of quiet sitting. I've got a couple of really beautiful haiku for you, which we're going to combine with a couple of mudras, so with a little flower theme. So come into comfortable sitting, so it could be back against the wall. Make sure you've got warm things on. There's still that nice chill in the air. So in a moment I will mute you. I'll just talk you through the mudras that we're doing. So we're coming back to a couple of the mudra we were doing earlier. So earlier we were using these as a sort of stretching, and now we're using them much more as a sort of meditative focus. So if I just show you the little sequence, and so we'll start off with this beautiful lotus bud mudra, and then we'll open out into the flower, but it's much softer now. So it's not really about stretching the fingers. It's just about this lovely lotus flower. And we'll have one haiku here. And then we'll bring our hands onto our thighs. You can't quite see my thighs, but it's this mudra where we have the palms facing up, the handful of blossoms mudra. And I have a different haiku for here. So just, yes, settling yourselves down. And I'm now going to mute you. And so I think it follows on a little bit from the poem we had last week about the moon and the flowers guiding us on, I think it was on the way. And yeah, again, I think just coming back to flowers, something that, yeah, it's just, yeah, such a beautiful gift, particularly at the moment. There's so many lovely flowers around. So first of all, just letting yourself settle. You can do a bit of rocking, a bit of swaying, just settling in sitting. So perhaps it's that feeling the legs and pelvis on the ground. And from rocking and swaying, we just settle down. We find a place where the pelvis and legs can be heavy and our spine grows up. And we could have the image here of our head, our face being like a flower. The spine is the stem, and our head opens, balances on the top of the stem like a flower. And when you're ready, you're going to bring your hands into the lotus bud mudra in front of your chest. And just have a few breaths here. So we come to this very beautiful position. The bud represents all this, I suppose, potential, promise, new life, hope. And then from here, let your fingers open out. So into the flower. So the 3 middle fingers open out and the thumb and the little finger stay touching. So just give yourself a moment to settle with your hands in this lotus flower mudra. You've got space between the palms of the hands. The palms are soft. And then I'll read you the haiku. So this is Ryokan again, the 18th century Japanese Zen monk. Not much to offer you, just a lotus flower floating in a small jar of water. So maybe we'll have that one more time as you hold your hands in your lotus flower. Not much to offer you, just a lotus flower floating in a small jar of water. And then bring the backs of your hands to rest on your thighs and just let yourself settle in this position. So the backs of the hands are on the thighs, palms facing upwards, shoulders heavy and relaxed. So this is the, again, very beautiful handful of blossoms, mudra, where we imagine we're holding handfuls of blossom. We're just getting to the end of blossom season at the moment, but there's still plenty around. As you sit, you could close your eyes. You've got these very soft palms. You imagine you're holding handfuls of blossom, and you don't want to bruise or damage the petals, so your palms and fingers are soft. And the haiku here is, the willows are in full blossom. I want to pile up the blossoms like mountain snow. So we'll have that one more time. As we sit, we feel the weight of the legs and pelvis on the floor, the flow of the breath. The willows are in full bloom. I want to pile up the blossoms like mountain snow. And then in your own time, you can turn your hands palms down on your thighs. So when we turn the hands palms down, we turn our attention a little bit more inward. And we'll just have another few cycles of breath here. So now gather your attention into your breathing, wherever you feel your breath most clearly in your body. And just see if you can rest your attention with your breath. Feeling the inhalation expanding within you, feeling the exhalation emptying you. And then in your own time, you might like to fold forwards and bring your hands to touch onto the ground. And if you want to touch your forehead to the ground, you might need to change your sitting position. And then we're going to lie down. So make sure you've got a warm blanket or socks or whatever you need. So we'll, settling down onto the mats. Or wherever you want to lie down. So letting yourselves rest down, feeling the back of your body supported by the ground. And letting the front of your body soften. We're just letting everything soften here, our body, our focus. So we can let the breath drift in and out. We can let our thoughts drift in and out. So this period of resting, being, of not trying to do anything, not trying to change our breathing, not trying to work anything out in our mind. Just letting everything be exactly as it is right now. The ground beneath your body, the flow of the in and the out breath, sounds around you, the air on your skin. The thoughts, the bodily sensations that arise and depart all the time. So letting everything drift in, drift out. Very easy, very quiet. So in a moment, I'm going to ring the singing bowl 3 times. You don't need to do anything until we reach the silence at the end of the 3rd ring. And just see how you feel now. If there's any little movements you feel nice for your body, and do those. If just lying quietly a little bit longer would be nice, then do that. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to unmute you.
Cara?
Yes, my love.
Can I just check? I want to maybe see if the girls can write some haikus this afternoon.
Yes.
Can I just check that I wrote those down correctly?
Yeah. I can photograph it and send it to you. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, brilliant.
I'll just WhatsApp them to you.
Yeah, so they're absolutely lovely.
They're so beautiful, aren't they? I think it's 5 syllables and 7. I'm sure these aren't actually, so I think you don't need to worry about that. But yes, that's a very good idea. I might get Mary to do that as well.
Yeah, it just feels like something. Yeah, I've got to go out and Tarky will be out, so something for them to do for an hour, and then I can come back and have a look with them.
Oh yes, the good old home educating. So
yes, it hasn't been it hasn't been good or old. It's been sporadic and rare.
Hasn't been happening in our house much.
Well, I think I'm using this period because poor Mary was so like behind after, she missed so much when Martin died. She's about, so I'm a bit like obsessive, like I've got this time to catch her up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
poor girl, like, she got her nose to the grindstone. So
How old is she?
I'd love to have been able to do that for Susie, actually. Yeah, but I've been working so much. It's just it's.
But I think that she's not. I mean, Mary is just so. I mean, Mary is like, she's in year 5, but she's really at year 3, and it's, she's behind in a way that that I think, bless her, even with all of this, she's not.
Year 5's about 10, is it? Is she
year
10?
5's 10. Yes, she's 10. But it's just really, I think, after I had my husband died, it's just.
Yes.
She went to school, but she really missed. I think she's pretty much missed. She was a bit behind anyway, but she's missed a couple of years of school, and so anyway, we're yes, I'm making my mission to.
And are they enjoying not going to school?
Yeah, my older one is really enjoying it, and I just feel my little one. I just feel that school's really negative because she is behind. She feels stupid, and I just
Right.
quite. Yeah, I've got a bit militant about the whole thing. Really.
Yes. I don't blame you.
It'd be interesting to see how many people will want to keep their children at home after this. Whether for some children,
Yeah, particularly the ones who don't enjoy the school experience.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it does make me think, is it an opportunity to do something differently? Because I do feel Mary school's good socially, but in terms of learning, she can learn far more at home, and in a way I just feel that school just makes her feel crap about herself in terms
yeah.
So
they get quite narrow in how they assess children, don't they? So being at home with you is a lovely opportunity.
If you're
hard
quite
work for you.
just see the ones who are confident and really up there in it.
No, bless her.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Chili. Look at
Yes,
that.
it's not all been bad.
She's saying, "Where's my walk?"
Great waggy tail, isn't it?
She's hoping the yoga's finished on. She's going to go out for a walk now. Oh,
Good day for it.
yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Beautiful, Kate. So how many cats have you got? Just the one, or?
I have 2 Siamese cats.
Oh.
Yeah, I've always had sort of rescue cats and stuff. We even had a rescue Siamese, but these 2, I thought these are my last 2 cats. So I got 2 brothers.
Did you? As kittens then, or
as kittens? Yeah, nice.
Oh.
Great company.
Yeah.
But they don't have talk a lot. Oh.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I always thought Siamese, I think from the Lady and the Tramp, I always thought Siamese were a bit scary. But I realised that they're very...
No, everyone thinks they're a bit mean because of that, but they're incredibly affectionate. They're sort of almost halfway between a cat and a dog, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, because Rosie, who sometimes joins us on a Friday, she's got 2, a brother and a sister, and they're amazing. Yeah, they're just like that. They're very, very attached to her.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes that gets a bit annoying, I'm being followed around all over the house. Cats like, go away and do something else. But they're very sweet. Yeah. Yes. And they don't need walking, unlike a dog. I mean, that's
true, isn't it? Especially with you, your chronic fatigue.
Yes, unreliable walker that I would be. Yeah.
Is your dog still there, Tracy? Is your dog still on the bed?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Okay. Is your dog still on the bed?
They've jumped down there. They had to sleep on the bed, but they've gone
Oh.
Oh. Where's Wolf, Donna? He's not there.
He's out. Mo took him out this morning, and I'm up in Keris's bedroom, so the cats are downstairs and Wolf's outside. Yeah. It was just too chaotic trying to do it downstairs.
Yeah.
But yes, I shall be out with him very soon. It's going to be a beautiful day, isn't it, by the looks of things? Can't wait to get out.
The Otto's disappeared. He's so much better behaved since Daisy. I mean, he's missing Daisy, but he's actually so much better behaved.
Really?
I think it was like that younger child syndrome. He'd always get attention.
Yes. Oh.
He'd always think Daisy was getting a treat or getting attention, so he'd be there like.
Right.
Oh. Oh, bless her. Oh.
Oh, thank you ever so much.
Yeah, thank you. It was really lovely. Have a lovely weekend.
Yes, yeah. Great weekend,
Yeah.
everyone.
Hilary, keep calm
Thank
on the
you all.
gardening front.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Keep calm on the gardening front.
I'll try, yes.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay,
Sarah.
thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Oh.